Welcome to Relationship Equity, a podcast that explores how successful people cultivate meaningful connections with others in their personal and professional lives. Learn from the stories, insights, and advice of leaders, innovators, and influencers who have built strong bonds with their teams, their customers, their communities, and their families. Here's Richard Walker.
I'm back with Andrea Markstrom, the Chief Information Officer at Schulte, Roth & Zabel. We've been talking about the lessons she learned as a young intern at Target and over the course of her 30 years as a global IT leader. Andrea, I want to talk about mentorships. In part one of our chat, you mentioned that early in your career you reach out to senior people and ask for guidance. That you're a bit of an outlier. Most people would never dream of doing that. I met with a fellow recently who's early in his career. The guy's just brilliant, but he's intimidated to reach out to people in his own company and ask for mentorship. And really, because of his perceived notion, he doesn't have any value. Why would they want to do that? What would you say to that?
I've had a lot of conversations with people about that. First of all, yes, you are worth it. Let's talk about all the accomplishments that you've done. Let's talk about just what you did yesterday. Let's talk about at home. Let's talk about at work, because I really believe that the two, they blend together. And you have to feel fulfilled and accomplished, and that you're accomplishing things on both sides, right? So I can say all of this because I was that person who did
we
not.
all were.
Yeah, and I tell people now, like, just take a risk. What's the worst that's happened? I mean, if what's the saying? If you don't ask, the answer is always no. The other thing that I did early on, and I have people do, is like, I always say, okay, what is that, like the devil on your shoulder saying you're not worth it, or you can't do it, or, you're not good enough. It's the naysayers, and you're going to have naysayers your whole entire career. Well, write their name down, or write what that saying is, crumple it up and throw it in the garbage. And like, literally, I just think that helps, like, get rid of it sometimes. But the other piece is, if you don't take a risk, if you believe in the naysayers, which we all are going to have, that's where you go back to, you've got your personal board of advisors. And I mean, you need to surround yourself with people that are going to help lift you up. I can't say enough about that. And if you don't know how to build your personal board of advisors, it's easy. It is just, who do you lean on a regular basis, and approach them and say, I'd love for you to be part of my personal board of advisors. And if I need to reach out to you, can I do that? And please let me know when you need help too, because we all need help on both sides.
It's the epitome of relationship equity. I call it the inner circle. And that's something everybody can and should do, Andrea, in my mind, is if you haven't got a personal board of advisors, start one today. And it could be two people, it could be three people. But people that really have your best interests at heart, people that you trust, people that you know want to help you. And there's something you said so powerful. Go out of your way to help them. Because that's how you gain equity, is first of all, go out of your way to help people. There's so many people that everybody listening have helped that would love to be, it would be an honor to be on your own personal board of advisors. And that's where it starts right there, because we all need help at some point, right?
Yeah, we do. But that's a really great point too, Richard, because it took me about 25 years of my career before I actually asked for help. Because
Why?
Thought, well, I'll say, as a woman in technology, which thank God there's, we're starting to see more and more women at the table, women, in all different levels, which is awesome. But there are times where, I have felt, okay, I'm either alone in this room, only woman, or I have to prove that I am like this hard person. And that never served me well. I always thought too, if I asked for help or if I talked about my mistakes, I'm failing. And that's so not right. And I learned that the hard way because it took me a long time to ask for help. And I wish I would have asked for help so much earlier, because asking for help, first of all, I mean, people feel really good when they're asked for help, when you ask them to help you. And you know, we all need to reciprocate that on both sides, but it's not a sign of weakness. And also, you know, talking about where you screwed up, I mean, that's probably the most powerful thing that you can do for yourself and for your team. I thought for the longest time that was like a no, don't do that. That you'd appear weak, but just showing you're vulnerable and that yes, you make mistakes. I've made some big ones in my career. I'm just talking about them and, you know, hey, this is probably how I would have handled it. I wouldn't do this again, or I would do this again. The other piece I would say is that sense of vulnerability opens the door for a whole different conversation with your team. I mean, not only do they look at you as, okay, she is a person, and she's a genuine person, but showing your authenticity is just so important.
You know, I would actually argue, Andrea, it's not only not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. To show vulnerability is a sign of strength. It's exact opposite to weakness, because it shows that you're willing to say, I'm not perfect and I need help. And to your point, you probably wish you'd done it earlier in career, because everybody in every role needs help. And it's so important to realize that. Now, the key is asking the right people that really genuinely want to help you, that have been there before, that want to put their arm around you and say, I got your back, let me help you. Now, let's this is a really good segue into something else I wanted to talk to you about. You started iWILL, and I think it's a wonderful, obviously some of my team joined you, your last event in New York, and they spoke very, very highly of it.
I mean, your team is amazing, and they did, I mean, I was so grateful. They joined us, and it was a great day. It was a really
I have to tell you, Donna, our CFO, wonderful lady, she came back beaming. She loved it. And Emily and Becca, I mean, they had a great time. So let's talk about that organization. It's hard to start something from scratch. It's very, very difficult. And it's hard to build something, and you built it. But it's truly all about what the real benefit of any kind of mission that you're on that's really important. So if you can talk through that and the results that you've seen from it, what value have you created from it?
Thank you. So iWILL, which stands for Inspiring Women, Igniting Leadership and Learning. It all started, so I mentioned earlier in our conversation, I'm one of those commuters. I live in Minnesota, but I work in New York, so I fly back and forth every week. And I did this role 7-8 years ago, and I did not know many people in New York when I first came here. So I pushed myself, went to, every lunch, every dinner, any event that I could to get out to meet people. And I started meeting some amazing women leaders. And I asked, are there any networking groups? And there are some amazing networking groups. Some that come with pretty hefty price tag to join, or the other ones that I found were very siloed. So either, you're in this industry or you're at that level. And these women that I met, they weren't in technology at all. They were fashion designers. They were photographers. And they were students. But we all had very similar challenges in terms of, hey, I have 3 kids and I have a whole boatload of work. How do you
balance
juggle it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, just so many similar challenges. And so, I don't know, one of my dreams has always been to create a community for women. And so let's try. If you don't try, you never know. So I asked these people that I initially were meeting at lunches and dinners, and I said, okay, if I throw something out there, will you please attend? And that's really how it started. And we are now, I'll fast forward to where we are today, close to around 1,000 people around the country. It's a community that is free. It's open to any role, any industry, any level, women, and we have several men that are part of the community, which we need because we need to help support each other. And it's really, I mean, the whole purpose is all to help each other rise and succeed. And not only our careers, but like where we can be successful in life. So as part of that, I started meeting some amazing organizations. And one is an organization called First Step in New York, where they're part of New York City's Coalition for the Homeless, where they help women off the streets of New York, provide them, resume writing skills, computer skills, anything just to help them get back on their feet again. And I was at a lunch, and a woman sitting next to me, she mentioned, she's like, I work at Estee Lauder. And even think twice, right? You say, oh, Estee Lauder, okay. We probably have similar backgrounds growing up. Oh my, was I wrong? So we were at a First Step luncheon, and they talked about their program, which helping people off of the streets, and through this program, women graduate. And so they had some graduates come up, and the woman sitting next to me was one of those graduates. And when she started talking about her story and what she went through, living on the street with her kids, and somebody gave her a chance after she graduated from this program, and that was Estee Lauder. I'm like, oh my, we have so much work to do. We can do so much more. That is a big part of the mission of iWILL, is to do so much more. And so we fund and donate a lot of programs and mentoring to not only First Step. This year, we have a focus on helping victims of human trafficking, whether it be provide mentoring or donations. So anytime we have an event, we charge $20, and all of that money goes to help support these programs of these amazing agencies that are doing really amazing things for women. And then the other thing that we've started is a grant fund, where we've had businesses say, how can I help? And so a grant fund to help women launch their businesses. So we've had a few pitch competitions. We had a live pitch competition at a summit a couple of weeks ago. And it was so much fun to just hear these 3 individuals get up on stage, talk about why did they start their company? What can they do? What do they want to do? What's their mission? And any little bit about how we can help them. The audience that day selected who would be the winner of the pitch competition. So it was, I always call it crowd vesting. So they voted on who would get the grant funding that day. But again, the mission is all about, we can do better and we can help other people. So how do we do that? When you get a community of incredible people together, we can do incredible things together. We just want to do more. How to continue to help, big focus this year is helping victims of human trafficking. We were so lucky to have a young woman who, went through that experience. She spoke to us and talked about her experience at our iWILL summit. She's so brave. When she was done speaking, I talked to her and she's like, I don't know a lot about what you all were talking about today. Like, talked about getting women on boards. We talked about how to negotiate salary. And she was, not only was so brave about getting up on stage, talking about her story and what she went through, what she persevered, and what the end of her talk is, I am not going to live like that anymore. I am going to get my GED. I'm going to go to school. I am going to make money for my family. Just to see her light up and talk about that. You just want to bottle that up and say, how can we do that for every single person? But when she said to me, I don't really know what a lot of what was talked about today, I just said, oh my, come along with us. And she's like, I want to help. How can I help? And she's now going to be part of our iWILL community and mentoring others. And the other thing is, I love ideas. And that's really, this community is so full of ideas on how we can help people. People should just talk about what are different ways that we as this great community can do more. We've helped launch now 7 businesses. We've given over, I want to say we're close to around $60,000 in grants to help them launch. We've helped mentor, many young women established in their careers. And it's really all about helping each other. I think one of the most valuable things that I've enjoyed watching is when people connect with each other. So at our events, that's what it's all about, is just get to know each other, like really get to know each other, and not just on a surface level. Let's talk about how we can truly help each other. And so to see people get to know each other, and, let's say if, I know an example, one woman was in transition from her work. She met an individual, and now she's off doing something completely different. Or just to see the friendships just helps us lift each other up. So
You run iWILL. You've got a big job. You have a family. How the hell do you fit 10 pounds of sausages in a 5-pound bag? You're so cool, calm, and collected, Andrea. How do you do it?
it's a lot of gratitude I have a lot of support. I have a lot of amazing people in my life that help with so many things.
You mentioned one word right in the first 5 minutes of our conversation: discipline. Discipline. I'm guessing that probably plays a big part of it, right?
Discipline plays a lot of it. And I'll say it's not discipline necessarily in organization, because people that know me know, like, I'm like,
In your office.
Okay. I know, right? So don't, yeah. But it is the discipline in knowing you can do it and just staying with the program.
And I would also argue surrounding yourself with the right people. You can't do it all on your own.
You can't. And you got to ask for help.
Well, and going back to something we talked about earlier as well, because some people will say, well, how can you possibly be a CIO when you're not that technical? Well, you said it. If you have the right people around you on your team that you have trust and strong relationships with, then it works, right?
It does. And I'll say the role of a CIO has really changed. We are business leaders. We're really not technology leaders anymore. We are business
Let's
leaders.
talk about that. What do you mean by that?
If we are not adding value to the business, and if every day our teams are not doing the job of tying what we do to what for example, the strategy of our firm, then what's the value of our work? So as a business leader, we have such an opportunity to provide value and to to continue to increase revenue, to be a part of that conversation, to learn what our colleagues in the other business departments, what's important to them, what's on their roadmap. At a law firm, our CEO, COO, or their managing chairs of our firm, what's important to you, what's important to our vision. And our role as a CIO is to connect all those dots for our team and making sure we're delivering value on all of those strategic and objectives for our business and for a vision for our objectives for our firm. Comes back to a lot of communication skills.
And interpersonal, which the people often confuse the difference. Interpersonal, I'll give you my definition in a second. How would you differentiate communication skills and interpersonal skills?
So interpersonal skills to me is defined by relationships. You're creating and maintaining relationships constantly. So I am so lucky. I'm at an amazing firm. We have an amazing leadership team. And I'll tell you, like, the CMO and I, we talk every day. I mean, we have to I need to know what's important to her. And I mean, that's just one example. Whereas communication skills to me is all about, the definition is getting the right message across to the right audience.
I think that's well said. The only thing I would add to that is, because we know people with strong communication skills, but arguably not very strong interpersonal skills. It's understanding human dynamics. It's understanding what drives people and asking the right questions. And it's reading the room, and it's being able to interact with people based on who they are. And you can you can interact and be at the table with the executives and C-level people, but also talk to programmers and people that have a very, very different job. And people with very strong interpersonal skills know how to adjust. They know how to adjust their style. They know how to adjust their language. So those are the people with exceptional interpersonal skills, people that can adjust how they communicate with people based on their audience. That's how I would add to what you said.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Can that be learned?
I think it can. I mean, I think it just takes practice. And I think we as leaders, for example, if we have an individual on our team that maybe not always present information in the best way to the best audience, we owe it to that person to give them feedback right away.
100%.
And, you know, I might switch this up a little bit or tweak this or offer it next time. Let's practice ahead of time. Let's role play.
You mentioned with speaking with business executives, using different terminology. You know, take out the Java and they don't give a shit what kind of technology you're using. All they care about, can you?
They just want it to work.
Yes. Can you meet the business needs? Can you fix this problem? We don't care how you're going to do it. Can you do it? And when can you do it by? And how much is it going to cost me?
Yes, exactly.
Well, Andrea, I could talk with you all day. Obviously, we don't have time. It's been wonderful chatting with you. I wish there were more people like you on this planet. It would be much better for it. Can't thank you enough for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for all of your time.
And that's it for another episode of Relationship Equity. Please make sure to leave a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you won't want to miss out on any future episodes. Cheers. See you next time.
This has been Relationship Equity. If you want to take your career, your business, or your personal relationships to the next level, reach out to Richard at yorksolutions.net. You can also get Richard's book, Relationship Equity, your cornerstone investment to great gains in business and life, on Amazon now. Relationship Equity with Richard Walker is a production of Forbes Books.